All right, welcome back to the garage. Today's an exciting day because I want to smooth out this firewall. There's a couple things that I don't care much for about these first-gen Camaro firewalls, and that's that there's a seam right here, and that seam between the firewall, the airbox is two pieces, lower piece and an upper piece, creates a little seam in there that allows moisture and dirt to get into, and next thing you know, you've got rust issues. As well as I'm not going to be using the factory heater box. I want to go with a vintage air model or something like that, and so I want to cover this up. To do that, I've got a piece of 16 gauge here. Now, my 16 gauge isn't quite wide enough to cover the whole firewall, so I've got to section a piece out of it and weld it to the end of it to make it wide enough. So let's do that. Okay, quick work for my CNC plasma table here, which stands for clamps and cursing. I got this little piece cut out here. I may need to replace the top on this guy soon, but anyway, got it cut out here, got it clamped up. Now I just need to weld it together, make it one solid piece to go up to there. Let's do that. All right, a little welding and grinding, and it is one piece, and it's now wide enough to fit up there. So now I'm going to take a piece of paper, throw it up across there, and start tracing out a template to see where I want this thing to land. Okay, I'm making up the template for the smooth firewall here. I want to keep like all of the topography in here because that's what allows that pedal support bracket to set nicely. Other than that, just a smooth piece. Started with a big piece of paper, stuck it up here, and then started trimming away all the stuff that I didn't need. So now I want to take that off there and transfer it to a piece of metal and cut it out. Okay, got it rough cut with the plasma cutter. Just kind of around the bottom edge here. I left it long on the top so that I've got lots of room for adjustment if I need to. And I'm just going over it with a grinder and just kind of taking it down wherever I can. I'm test fitting it up here periodically and seeing where it needs adjustment and where it's fitting good. All that good jazz. I'll keep rocking and rolling. Okay, I've got it clamped up here, just seeing how it's fitting all along the areas that are important to me, like in here. I've still got some trimming to do along the side, of course the top, which will come off last, but it's fitting up in there pretty good. As I come down and around here, I noticed that there's a gap in here, and then it's tight right here, and I noticed there's a bit of a bulge in the old firewall here, and I look down below, and yeah, there's a dent there, and I don't think that dent's supposed to be there. So I measure over from the subframe mount to about where that dent is, and it's about 9 inches or so. If I take that over here to the subframe, I can see that, yeah, this subframe mount is broken and sunk in and rusted out. And if I measure over about 8 or 9 inches, I get to the exhaust manifold, which happens to be about the same size and shape as that dent. So I've got to knock that dent out of there and get that firewall setting up in there smooth. So let's do that. Do a little more trimming on this guy and I'll bring you back in a minute. Okay, got that dent knocked out of there. Got this trimmed up a little bit, just inching my way up around, get it exactly where I want it. Now I've gone ahead and scribed the back side of it along the cowl there. Scary part. I'm going to cut that off. I also threw a couple of 1/4-inch cap screws in, there, and there, just so I can put it back in the exact same place every time. It's working pretty good, but yeah, I'm going to pull this off here and trim it up and see if I can't make it perfect. Okay, got the top cut off of this piece. It's looking real good, real nice all the way across there. I like it. Now then, my plan for welding this on here is I want to weld it solid all the way across the top, butt weld it to the old firewall all around the other edge, and then where the bottom of the cowl box is, and there's the overlap of the metal pieces, I want to plug weld along there, and it kind of comes up and goes zoop, zoop, kind of like that. So I've got to pull this off here and start cutting out the old firewall where it meets up to that cowl box, and then I can mark it on the backside and find out where my plug weld holes needs to be. So let's start doing something like that. Okay, I've started cutting out the old firewall here, and this is the area that I'm talking about. I want to mark it on the backside, mark the new firewall on the backside all along here. However, there's going to be some area down in here where the plug welds are going to be kind of right in the middle of the two panels, like right in here especially. Going to be right in the middle of the two panels, which is fine because you know, I can throw a plug weld just right on the seam in there and in here. And then back over here, it's good again. So I'm going to throw this on there, mark it out, play with this a little bit. I didn't cut it all the way down to where it needs to be, and that's fine because once I do some more fit and fiddle on this, then I'll scribe it and I'll cut exactly where it needs to be along here. Down in here, since I've got good access to the backside of it, I may cut and butt this. I'll see how it fits up there and how it's looking. But there's where I'm at so far. Let's keep trucking. Okay, got the new firewall piece here all trimmed up and got it drilled out for plug welds. Looking pretty good all the way across here. Now I'm going to pull it off here, clean the mill scale off of it, and put epoxy primer all on the cowl and the back side of this panel before it goes up there to try and prevent any future rust. Let's do that. All right, got this cowl all covered in epoxy primer, got the back side of this smooth firewall all coated as well. I'll let that dry overnight, and tomorrow I'll come out here and weld it in there. Okay, the epoxy primer's all dry. I went over the areas that we welded on, and I went sprayed some weld through primer on there and along here. Next step will be to test fit this up there one last time, mark out where all the plug welds are going to be on the cowl, and then take it off and wipe off the epoxy primer where those plug welds are going to be. Before I do that, I want to address this area here where the wiper motor mounts. There's a couple indentions here, and that if I lay the firewall up here, you'll see that there's a gap there and a gap over here. So what I want to do real quick is just weld these up just a little bit, just to kind of match this profile, make it nice and smooth, nice and straight, so that firewall's got something to set up against there. So let's bust out the welder and do that. Okay, the moment of truth is at hand. Here's that area there that I welded up. There and there, looks real good. Got this fit up here, final time. I'm going to start tacking along this butt weld seam here, and then do the cut and butt down around this guy and get that all situated, and then come up, do some plug welds, and then weld it across the top. So let's get that going. Rock and roll. Okay, I've welded up the butt seam for the most part. There are my welds there. It's looking pretty good. I'm just going over it and starting to grind that down a little bit, get that ground down looking nice, fill in any pinholes. I can do plug welds along here. Whenever I welded it along this area here, it kind of pulled the new firewall piece out a little bit, so I've got that clamped up. It didn't warp it, so that's good, but it is pulled away just a little bit. I'll get that clamped up tight and welded up there, but that's where I'm at so far. I'm gonna keep on trucking. Okay, got that butt seam ground down for the most part. It's looking pretty good. I'm real happy with it. Now I'm going to move on and start doing these plug welds. I'll start kind of here in this middle, in this low part, work my way that way and work my way that way so that any movement gets pushed to the edges. Anyway, keep trucking. All right, I got carried away, did up those plug welds, ground those down, and then went ahead and welded this top seam and ground that down. It's looking real good. I'm real happy with it. I'm done with the firewall. That is a smooth firewall. Not bad for a novice, I'm gonna say, but it's looking pretty good. and I really like it. Really happy with it. Awesome job. Now you're probably thinking, Elrod, you moron, you covered up the hole for the windshield wiper motor. Well, I did, but that's because I've got a Raingear setup to put in. I'm not a huge fan of this huge wiper motor hanging off the front of the firewall and getting in the way, so I invested in a little something here. Ordered this off Summit. It didn't take too terribly long to get here once it was in stock. Let's dig into this and see what we got. All right, here's the contents of the box all laid out. Got a nice little thank you note with the number for their helpline, switch. They've got a OEM style knob, which is awesome. And some hardware, closeout plate, wiring, some stickers, a keychain, a business card, and then the meat and potatoes, as well as some really awesome instructions. I'm gonna go over these real quick and then see what I gotta do. One of the neat things about this setup is you don't have to drill a bunch of holes in your cowl box, just one for the wires to pass through, and that's a 5/8 hole. And I put it right there, and there it is from the dash side. You can see it's right there. So that's pretty cool. The screw holes for my wiper pivot shafts are too small, so I had to go over those with a drill and drill those out. Now then, I've got another little problem as I try and fit this thing up here. The cowl opening where that bolt should stick up through here, that brass nut, is a little too narrow, so I gotta mark that and file that out and get that to fit in there. Okay, I got that pivot shaft opening widened just a little bit. Once I pull this all out of here, I'm gonna clean that up and make it look nicer. But it's in here, and it's mocked up, and it looks good, and I'm real happy with it. I'm not gonna go into any great detail about how this goes in because I feel that the instructions are very comprehensive about that. I will give you a pro tip though. A little pro tip is this vertical support right in here that goes around the motor. If you slide that into place first, before you mount the motor, it's gonna make life way easier on you than to try and cram that around the motor that you've already bolted up. But anyway, all mocked up. I'm gonna pull this out of here, put it back in the box, leave it there until this area is ready for it. Once I get it, painted and primed and all the good stuff. But there's my smooth firewall and my Raingear wiper system. Looking good. I'm real happy with it. Catch me in the next video. Thanks for watching.